everybody. Welcome again to the Day One, Week One podcast. I'm your host, Billy Bowering. So I was trying to come up with a bunch of different ways to introduce this guy. And there's only one way to really kind of introduce this guy. If you've ever seen the movie Superman, where he's everywhere and he's jumping over buildings in one bound, and he's stopping freight trains, and my goodness. Listen, we got Jason Andrews on here, guys. I don't know if I had another celebrity on here not too long ago. His name was Brooks Herring. He's a national recording artist. And no offense to Brooks, but Jason, this is going to be the hottest commodity that we've had on this show. Jason, man, super pumped that you're here, man.
I appreciate being here, man. So that's a hell of an introduction.
Yeah. So, hey, let's get into it. Let's talk about everything. I'm just going to tell them your name, and if you don't mind telling everybody about yourself, I would love that, man. Just tell them who you are, where it all started, and where we're going with it.
Well, my name is Jason Andrews. I'm a U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Army veteran, and spent currently going on 18 years in law enforcement, federal law enforcement. And, unfortunately, I have medical injuries that I suffered in the Army, and currently in the process of retiring from the government. And mixed emotions on that, but I took that platform, I took that issue that's wrong with me mentally and physically, and wanting to help other veterans and other first responders. And so pretty much for the last 2 years, this platform that I've built, that I'm very humbled building, that I didn't realize I was building, to help veterans with mental health and help veterans with physical health, and, break the stigma of that. And then I started designing clothes for myself, just gym clothes. I like, don't get me wrong, nothing against stuff you could buy in store, but I was like, I want something different. I want something more patriotic, more Americana. And so I started building my own shirts. And more people started seeing that. And they're like, what are you wearing? Where'd you get this? I was like, I made it myself. And they're like, dude, I'll buy one off you. And then one thing led to another, where I just started building the store. And I started building the store and called Alpha Ready Co. Well, the craziest thing is, when I first started building this in June, July last year, before anybody knew about it, it was just like quiet project. And I just started building it. In my head, I go, okay, I'm building a clothing store, but I'm not building this clothing store to be rich. I didn't build this clothing store to be like, oh, I can't wait how much money I'm going to make. This clothing store just kind of like started building into something where I go, I want to help people. I'm already helping people in the community. I'm already helping veterans and first responders in the community. I want to do more. I was like, how can I build this clothing store to give back? And it dawned on me, because I work with a lot of nonprofit charities, but the nonprofit charities I work with, they're charities that they're small. They're grassroots charities that are doing amazing things in the community, in the veteran and first responder world. But man, they got a staff of like 5 or 6. They got a budget that a lot of the times is coming out of their own money to do things. And I go, why is that? Well, you have these other nonprofits. No, nothing wrong. I'm not bashing other nonprofits, but these other nonprofits that people know about, Tunnels for Towers, Gary Sinise Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project. Don't get me wrong. They do great work. They do. But I feel sometimes you have these mom and pop charities that I feel like I have a better connection, because I can reach someone faster. I could feel like I could get something done quicker than trying to go through this loophole of all these other people to try to get something done, And I go, let's build these smaller charities and make them bigger. They do tremendous work. Let's give them a budget. Let's give them the support. Let's give them the advertisement to do something bigger. So my first charity ever was Paw Patrol, which was Hearts for Heroes USA. That was my first charity I reached out to. I was like, hey, I see what you guys do on Instagram. And what they do is they train service animals, and they give them to police and fire stations. And they don't pay, the city doesn't pay, because obviously the city pays for police and fire. And obviously, if you go to that city and go, hey, I want to give guys a service animal, but you're going to have to pay for it, they're like, heck no, we're not going to do that. That's not in our budget. Animals cost a lot of money. So this charity stepped in and said, hey, these police officers, these firefighters come back to the station, and they're, for a fact, when you go out on a call, you don't know what you're going to see, and then when you come back home or back to the station, whatever you saw, it takes you a minute. There's times where I go and on a call and doing something in the field, and I come back, and sometimes I got to sit in my car for at least 20 minutes just to compress and take a minute of what I just saw. You know what I mean? And relax and take a minute or pray or whatever I got to do, because you're just like, what the, like, you realize the cruelness of people. You know what I mean? You realize what people can do to other people, and it's horrific, especially when it comes with kids and babies. So I go, these firefighters, these police officers, need like animals there to give them comfort. Every time I come home, I got two dogs, and they jump on me and we play and wrestle. And after your podcast, I'm about to go take them to the puppy park that they love. So it's like, and this organization stepped in to do this, and it's awesome what they do. So, but they're grassroots. They have like 4 people working for them. You know what I mean? And they pay for everything. They pay for the service animal to be trained. They pay for the food at the firehouse police station. They pay for, the train. They do all that out of their own foundation. And I go, so I started making merch for them, and they loved it and they bought it. And then what they do is they sell them at their events, and they make money off that. And I'm like, heck yes. But one thing that they told me though, the most, they go, and then I give them 50% of the profit at the end of every month. I just go on their donation website. It's like, here you go, guys, here you go. And it's awesome. And I go, the first thing, they reached out to me and they go, we love the 50% back, but also mostly we love the merchandise, because apparently some merchandise companies out there, you have to buy no less than 20 or 30 or 40 items. And I go, no, you could just buy one coffee cup if you want. You could buy one shirt if you want. You know what I mean? There's no minimum, you know what I mean? And it's at a good price. And then that one coffee cup, 50% of that profit goes back to that charity, and it just started blowing up. That came, and then Warriors Rest Foundation came, and then all these charities just started reaching out to me on Instagram going, we want to be a part of this. And you could go on my website, Alpha Indico, and you just see all these charities just and I'm already working with 2 others right now to build their merchandise. So it's been amazing. And I got your charity, Day One Week One on there, and it's crazy because what I've built has helped so many things, and I'll tell you how. So it's helped build these charities, because what I do is I build the merchandise for them and I blow them up on Instagram. So I'm constantly, at least once a week, I try to throw in their organizations. I'm like, hey guys, check this out. This is what they do. Go on their website, buy some of the merch, donate to them if you want to, right on the website. And I'm constantly, especially during the holidays in December when a lot of people are giving out to charities. Man, I was every week I was blowing up 3 or 4 charities. Like, hey guys, check this out. So I'm not just advertising your charity on social media and say follow them, support them, see what they do, making the merch for you guys, giving you 50% of the profit, but then building the merchandise, designing it. It's so therapeutic for me. It helps me with my PTSD. It helps me with my mental health. And it's crazy because I've had a lot of people check out what I do and they go, wait a minute, I don't understand this. You're making a shirt that's $29. You're giving half of it to the profit to charity, and you're keeping half that for yourself. But then how much money does it cost to run your business? I was like, well, it costs money to run my business, but then your time. I was like, that's true. I spend a lot of time doing this. Well, then how come you're not raising the prices of your merch on certain things? And some of them they do, and some of them they don't. It depends on, like my own shirts, for my own stuff. And everybody has their different things. But in my head, I go, no one's going to pay $60 for a shirt. It's just that's not feasible. They're not going to do that. It may pay 35, 40, depends on what goes to charity, and that's great. But, I want to make anyway. Exactly. And so it's like, no, I won't even pay $50 for a Giorgio Armani t-shirt. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. But I want to make sure that obviously the prices are good. But the charity gets a good amount. You know what I mean? And I work with charities, and I'm like, hey, different things, like I'm working with you guys and all that. And it's great. But at the same time, even for my own merch, because the biggest thing is I didn't do this to become rich. I did this to help, and did this to make sure that the charities are taken care of. You know what I mean? So whatever we could do to make sure that charity is taken care of by the price, by the merch, by the advertisements, that's my biggest thing, and the time of just working on it, man, it's so therapeutic. It is so like, I'll give you straight up an example. Last night, I was sleeping in bed and I had just nightmares, about some things of my past and all that. And I wake up and I'm like, so I wake up, I do my prayer, read my Bible, and I jump on my laptop, grab my coffee, jump on my laptop, and I start working on my business, and right now I'm designing merchandise for the DJs. And all those thoughts, that nightmare just went away. I had my radio station on, listening to myself and just working on my business, before I came on her podcast. And I'm like, It's so therapeutic. It's so like that's why a lot of people are like, well, you should charge more for your time. No, you don't understand. This time, me building this stuff that I build, it's therapeutic. It's like my own mental health. It's like people do pottery, people do golf, people do, whatever they go out there for their therapeutic time. That's mine. Building the store is mine. And that's why I'm so, even for like the Thin Line Rock Station stuff, when James and JJ reached out to me and they're like, hey, we see what you're doing. Can you build stuff for us? I'm like, absolutely. You kidding me? Heck yes. And they're like, we'll give you a percentage. And I go, no, I don't want a penny. I don't. Well, you're working hard on it. That's true, but I don't want a penny. You guys are getting back every penny of profit. Well, what? No. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll pay the manufacturer, obviously, whatever the manufacturer costs, but the profit, no. Because you guys are giving me this platform. You guys are giving me this amazing, you know, commercials and stuff like that. You guys are giving me, and you guys are helping first responders and veterans with all the amazing DJs you guys have. I don't want a fucking penny. I don't. You know what I mean? So every week, or every few weeks, I pay them out, and yeah, and it's awesome because it's like, who knew that? Like you said, when we started, who knew a few years ago I was going to be making merchandise and making clothing, and now it's like, now I'm like going to town, like I'm getting more creative. Before I was like, okay, let me just do a T-shirt, and then I started doing cups, then I started doing iPhone cases, and now it's like, the other day someone reached out to me. I think it was Sarah. She goes, "Hey, can you make shoes?" I'm like, "I can, but shoes are tricky. Shoes, you have to be very like, it's not just putting a logo on it. You know what I mean? You got to work with angles, and it's a very like, you want it to look good. You don't want it just to look, everything I do, I want to make sure it looks good and it's presentable. If you buy it, it's like, cool, I love it. Like, this is from my store, all this stuff, the fabric's good, dude, I've washed this shirt like 100 times and nothing's happened to it. Doesn't even shrink. And so,
I sent you a
yeah,
text message regarding
yeah, it's amazing.
those
Yeah.
shoes, and
Yeah. And so,
I
I'm
just
going
saw
to
those
make,
shoes. Get my stuff on there.
so I'm actually going to make yours this weekend, and the shoes take time. Not gonna lie to you, the shoes take time. The shoes take me, one pair of shoes took me about 3 hours because it is it is angles. It is like, I'll play around with it. I'm like, it doesn't look good, and I'll keep changing it. And what I wanted to build was a collector shoe. Like, yeah, if you could wear them, but it's like having a shoe. I mean, who can say I have a shoe has my stuff on it? You know what I mean? It's like, so I think, and even the shoebox has
Right.
has the logos and all that. Yeah.
I would literally take one and put it up on the wall or something in my office. It would be great.
Yeah. And it's just cool. It's just badass to have like merchandise for your stuff and your brand on it and all that. And that's exactly what I feel like a lot of people are excited about and doing it. I've had a few DJs buy their stuff and advertising on social media and and that's, and not only that, I don't know if you saw one of the chats this morning. So I go, okay, I got the cups, I got the shirts, I got the hats, whatever water bottles, whatever the DJs want. And some of them reached out to me, some of them, they go, no, just go to town. And I was talking to Kevin yesterday, and I was like, hey man, what do you want for your merch? He goes, dude, just go to town. Like, go to town. I was like, cool, I will. But then I started seeing, I go, wait a minute. Then I started seeing because they're always the supplier, the manufacturer is always coming up with new stuff. Well, they just came up with a new thing last week, business cards. And I go, wait a minute, you guys are always going to these conventions, you guys are always going out and doing stuff. Let me make business cards for each DJ and make it look good, where there's a QR code and they could scan it with their phone and it goes right to the Thin Line Rock Station website. And that's exactly what I did. And they're affordable, they're cheap as hell. You get like a stack of 100. And so that's what I've been doing. You saw that on the chat today, and I was like, and everybody's like, hell yes. So it's where I want to make it where it's a one-stop shop where if a DJ goes, hey man, I want a coffee cup for my thing or I want a shirt, or having your listeners and say, hey, I like this DJ, I want to support him and advertise. Dude, I wear this shirt everywhere I go. And on the back of it has the station, has my radio show. And people will come up to me like, what is that? What is that? And I'm like, oh yeah, you're here, check it out. And I'll say, go on the app, pull out your phone and this. And that's how you get the station bigger and bigger and bigger and get the DJs get more followers and more followers, because there's not one DJ here that I go, every single one of them I love hearing to, because everybody has a different personality. Everybody has a different, segment. They talk about different things. And it's amazing because it's like, it's just a vast variety of personalities where some of them are great funny wise, some of them are emotional, some of them are inspirational, some of them are motivating, and some of them have a mixture of everything. And it's just, that's why I love it. I really do, because just a variety. It's not like your normal radio station where it's kind of the same thing all the time, or they talk about kind of the same things all the time. It's so different. It's so broad based where it hits where sometimes I need it the most. I listen to it all day. I mean, I'll have an AirPod in, I'll be typing reports and all that stuff. And I'll hear you come on and talk about God. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. You were talking about volunteer firefighters the other day, and that was a great segment. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And, Aaron will come on and talk about very emotional and supportive things and things that make you think, very, out of the box type of topics. I was like, man, I didn't think of that before. And then Rico will come on and a lot of his stories just make me laugh. And, I love his past and hearing what he's been through, you know what I mean? And how he's changing and how
Yeah.
he's not that same type of person. And, and Steve, man, Steve's voice, man, I go, how the hell Steve's the one. So, like I said, when I first started with this, I would see your pictures on the website. And I'm like, who are these guys? And I was like, and some of you guys, honestly, were a little intimidating, like just by the picture alone. And I go, man, all right, like in your picture, I was like, this guy looks like badass. This guy looks like a bad. I still think you're badass, but I see your heart now. It's like a different mindset than I thought. And these guys, I'm like, man, who are these
Right.
guys? And so when the videos, that's what I was asking you guys. I'm like, guys, send me videos. So for the Christmas thing we did, and I was like, send me videos, and I got to see how you guys talk and be in person video. I was like, this is sweet. But one thing I noticed though with those videos I did, it got more followers because it was like, oh, this is not just a face. This is not just a picture. This is guys on video. This is people like actually, this is what they look like and do. And I noticed that has just started spreading. Like all my followers on my personal Instagram, I look on the Thin Line Rock Station, I look on the DJs, and they're actually, a lot of them are following certain DJs and the Thin Line Rock Station. I was like, that's badass. That's cool, and the station alone, like Steve's voice, I was like, damn, like I did not picture his voice to his picture at all. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, that's crazy. And everybody here on there, man, Adam and Social and and the Firehouse Dolls and everybody's just they're tremendous. Deanna and the new DJs, I've heard them, they're great. Like everybody on here, I just, this platform and everybody's base has just been, it's been inspirational in so many ways to me.
Yeah, every time, for example, like we were talking last night when I was kind of scrolling through and I noticed you were on live, and I didn't mean to tag in.
You're fine. You're fine. Don't worry.
All of a sudden, you see me. I'm literally laying in bed.
I saw that. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and then my camera went off because I turned it off. So
Yeah.
it was so funny. But it's like last night. You were doing your recording and stuff, and uh, the cool thing is you were still, well, you were talking about 9/11 and some stuff like that was pretty inspirational. A lot of the topics that you come up with, I mean, it's not just a topic that you come up, you're coming up with a notion. You know what I'm saying? You're coming
Yeah.
up with a notion of, hey, have you thought about this? And I'll tell you what, every time I listen to not just you, but just about everyone else that's on the station,
Yep.
the biggest thing that I take away from is, man, there's so much talent uh, for people that just, and look what we do and look what
Yeah.
we've done. We're willing to give everything, including our life, to make sure that these people stay safe. And I feel like I need to catch up more with you guys, because we're on the WhatsApp channel. I feel like I need, because I can't follow you guys fast enough sometimes.
Dude, it is it's crazy because like it started with my idea with that because I was and here's the thing, man, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I was telling a little bit of the followers last night when I was recording. No, it was Adam. I was talking to Adam yesterday, and I was telling I've done years in the military, both branches, and when you're in the military, it's different than federal law enforcement. And I have a lot of friends in the local law enforcement sector. I have friends in, Las Vegas and Los Angeles and San Diego. And when I played in San Diego, fast forward back in the day, 2019, I played in the Police and Fire Olympic Games and I played flag football. And it's a huge event in San Diego. Like law enforcement, fire from all over the United States coming to San Diego. And there's so many different sports. There's weightlifting, track, football, basketball, just all these competitors. agencies team up and go against, and there's playoffs and all that stuff, and there's awards and all that, and it's great. It's an awesome event, and you not a lot of networking. You out drinking and eating with the guys. At the end of the day, it's fun. But one thing that I noticed, and it was very eye opening and disappointing for me at the same time, is serving two branches in the military. It's a different mindset. It's a I have your back, you have mine. It's like that in the federal law enforcement sector as well. But when it comes to camaraderie, like if me and you were in the Coast Guard and Army, and it wasn't, we just got done working and we're, off shift or off duty or whatever we're doing, and if we're on watch, and it wasn't like, hey, dude, are we going to go have dinner tonight? It wasn't like that. It was, hey, bro, where do you want to eat at? You got Chili's over there, you got Applebee's. Where do you want to eat at, bro? Especially being single, it's different when you're married. I understand that and have kids. But for us, like a lot of us guys, we were single, no kids, not married. And it was just like, hey, where you guys want to eat at? No, Chili. No, man, we ate Chili's yesterday. Let's go to Applebee's. Let's go this. Or let's just go to the cafeteria, and save some money and go bowling after, whatever. Like it was never what are we doing? It's where we're trying to figure out where we're going to go, where we're going to go drinking, where we're going to go do this. And in the Coast Guard, it was like in the Army, we had each other's back, even doing things we were not supposed to do, like, oversleeping, hey man, this guy's gonna be lying on his watch. Oh fuck, he just, he's tired. He had like 3 hours of sleep because we had a duty. Just I got his watch, man. Don't worry about it. I got his watch. Let him sleep. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Like you really had each other's back. You know what I mean? And you would lie for each other because you didn't want no one to get in trouble. You know what I mean? We had each other's back. When you go into the federal law enforcement sector, it's different. It's completely different. And don't get me wrong, you have your friends, you have coworkers, your acquaintances, but it's just different. And when I was playing when this opportunity came up to play in the Fire Olympic Games and police games, I walked around the office. I'm like, hey guys, who wants to play flag football? And because I was trying to build a team there at my agency, no one. They all said, no, I don't want to get hurt. I'm like, dude, it's flag football. Like, it's not tackle, it's flag. You know what I mean? No, no, no. So no one wanted to play. Everybody was just like either afraid of getting hurt or they just didn't have the time. And I'm like, guys, this is a huge event. Like, and even my boss, my head boss goes, hey, I want someone from our agency to play. Like, I want representation. And I'm like, sir, no one wants to play. And obviously you can't force someone to play sports. And it's like, he goes, well, you still gonna play? I'm like, sir, I'm gonna play, but I goes, I gotta get on a team. I don't have a team. So I reached out to the head director of the Police and Fire Olympic Games. I'm like, look, sir, I've been trying to get a team and no one wants to play. And I said, but my boss is like, hey, we want HSI representing there. So he goes, all right, let me reach out to a few agencies and departments that need players. So he reached out to San Francisco Police Department. And he goes, yeah, we could use, people. So I played on the San Francisco Police Department team. I had to have their jersey on, San Francisco Police Department, all that stuff, which is fine. It's like no big deal. But it cracked me up because it was such an amazing time. And he called me, the head coach, one of the police officers there. And he goes, hey, you play football? I'm like, man, I love football. He goes, all right, I'm going to send you plays and, study them, all this. I'm like, yeah, no problem, man. So I study plays and all this. And he goes, well, what do you play? I'm like, well, it just depends. Like sometimes I play O-line, D-line. I'm a big guy. I'm not a fast runner, but I could knock some people over. And he's like, all right, cool. So, and, so we were doing stuff. Well, the day of the event came, and this is so quick story, hilarious story, is the day of the event came, and he was supposed to have 20 people roster. So you have offense and defense, and then you have extras in case someone gets hurt or needs a break. And we're playing 2 games a day. So 2 full-on 15-minute quarter games a day. That, so you would have like a 2-hour break, go get food, hydrate, and then go back again. And you're playing against, we played against LAPD, we played against Chandler Fire Department, San Francisco Fire Department. You're playing mixed of everybody. And you don't get to pick who you play. It's just, how they structured it and organized it. So the day of the registration came in, and I meet the captain, I meet all these great guys. And there was a total of 8 people. 8 people. And then a few more came in late. So we had a total of 12 people. It's a 12-man roster, total of 12 people. And the captain, the San Francisco sergeant, was pissed. He was like, what the heck? So he's calling his guys. And his guys are saying, hey, man, I'm sorry I couldn't make it, without even telling him. Like, you would tell someone if you can't make it like days in advance, not the day of the event. So he was pissed. So he's like, oh, my goodness, I got 12 man, and that's all you need to play is a 12-man roster. But we're playing offense and defense. There's no in between. There's no break. And other guys were like, when their offense team would come on like a normal football game.
Right.
So all of us huddled together and we're like, what do you want to do? Do you want to forfeit or do you want to keep going? I'm like, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go. So, and this is like a legit flag football game. There's audience, family members, other officers, agencies, and referees, and like a legit, like, official game. So we got on the field and we had our jerseys on, we had our flags around us. The referee looked at us and go, "Where's everybody?" And we're like, "We're all here." And he goes, "Are you serious?" And we're like, "Yep." And he goes, "Well, you have the minimum amount of players to play. You sure you don't want to forfeit?" And we're like, "No, let's go." So we played. Our first game was Chandler Fire Department, and the Chandler Fire guys are already like, dogging us already. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna win," and because you have no, like, we're playing both sides, so we're gonna get gassed quick. And so the referee was cool though. He let us have, like, on our timeouts, he let us have a little bit more, a minute or two, just to kind of take a minute and gas it up and water. But we were surprised. Our first game against Chandler Fire Department, we won by 2 touchdowns. And we're playing offense and
Wow.
defense. So literally, when they have the ball, we went back into offense mode, or it was just like defense mode, and it was crazy. I was like, holy shit, we won. So then our next game was LAPD. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to get our asses kicked. Like, we're just going to get, and these guys are, monsters. And I'm like, we're going to get our asses kicked. Like, there was a guy.
They drafted from the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. And there was this guy, man, I was covering. I was playing defense, and that was just covering this guy. He was wide receiver. This guy was huge, man. This guy was just stacked. And I just looked at him like we were like getting like ready to go. And I'm looking at him like head on. And I'm like, "You SWAT?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You motherfucker." I was like, I'm like, I could tell. And he goes, "You ready to get you trampled on?" I'm like, "We'll see, bro. We'll see. Let's go." And says hike, and I'm covering this guy like crazy. Like, I'm doing everything I can. And he could not get a ball at all because the quarterback sees he's covered. And so he's like, and he looked at me, "You son of a bitch." I'm like, "We're talking shit. Like, that's just what we do. We're just talking shit and having a good time." We won by field goal. And I was like, holy shit, we won. So we're like this underdog team that's winning games now. Well, the next day, because it's a 3-day event, so we go drinking that night. We're just having we're like, holy shit, we won 2 games, and we're on a 12-man roster. We're back and forth, and we're having a great time. We went drinking, we had a good time. The next day, we played Las Vegas PD. Bro, everyone on that team was stacked. Everyone were just huge, huge guys. There's a picture of me on Instagram that I'm 5'10". This guy was like 6'3". And I'm just like going against him and like trying to hold this guy, but this guy was huge. We got our asses kicked by like 4 touchdowns. And it is what it is. And then the next day we played, was it San Diego Fire Department? And we got our asses kicked as well. It was all these guys that looked like Josh on that team. All these huge guys, motherfucker guys.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, even though it's flag, guys were on the ground, and I mean, it's flag, but
Oh yeah.
a little pushing and
There's
shoving,
contact.
and there's contact, and there's a little competitive spirit in there too. You know what I mean? And but it was fun though, even though we didn't make the playoffs and we lost. But one thing that it was so great, because when we got our asses kicked by Las Vegas PD and they made it to the championship, and all that, they said a speech during their little trophy presentation, and they made her, we were there, supporting like you do, and everything. You're a good sport. And at the little trophy presentation, and the captain made a comment. He brought me up on stage, and he goes, "Man," he goes, "even though you guys lost, you guys did not quit. Like, every game, the referee's like, 'Do you guys want to forfeit?' I'm like, 'Nope, let's go.'" And he goes, "You guys were just killing it. You guys were just, I mean, you could tell you guys were just done. Like, by the time 2 games were done, we were just like, I think a few guys just laid on the grass, just like for like 5 minutes, just gassed. And because it's such a contact sport, it's running, it's such a contact. But, I think that's one thing that I learned. And I saw Las Vegas PD's team, and their family were there. And I mean, they were just, you could tell it was a team. You could tell this camaraderie was a team. And going back to what I was saying from the beginning, in the federal law enforcement sector, you just don't get that. It's a little different. It's a different type of base. But then being here on the Thin Line Rock Station and meeting all the DJs and seeing them and getting to know them and hearing them, it feels like I'm back in the military. It feels like I'm back with this, we help each other out. We got you, man. Hey, I can't make the station, dude. I got you. Don't worry about it. Hey, anybody have advice to do their job better? Yeah, man. Here, this. Hey, let's help you. Let's promote your stuff even more. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I think that's one thing that I do miss. And you don't get it at the current job I have, but it's like I'm getting it here, and it fulfills that tank, that I have, and it's just awesome. Like, you guys are. you guys are family now, and it's weird. It's like, I cannot wait to meet you guys. Like, I cannot wait to, like, have something where conference convention or something where just we all meet, because it's just, I could see us just having a great fucking time and drinking and talking. And, I mean, I'm hopefully we can plan something like that soon. So yeah.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I understand what you're talking about when it comes to the camaraderie and different things like that. I came out of the Navy, after my time in the Navy. I mean, that was the same thing. When we went into the shop, if somebody was not feeling well that day or something, don't worry, man, I got you. We always had each other's back. Whenever we would go out on liberty, or somebody's getting really smashed, or they're about to get their butt kicked by about the Russian Marines or something.
Yep.
So we're stepping in and going, you better leave my dude alone, kind of thing. Yep. And we kind of banded together, which was awesome. But I do miss. There was a little bit of that. It wasn't as, I didn't feel the bond as tight. I was a little bit older than a lot of the guys in my squad, so they used to call me preacher, just because.
Well, obviously, yeah.
I was always the one before we went out on a if we were going to go serve a warrant or something like that, they'd be like, "All right, Billy, go ahead and bow your head real quick."
Oh yeah, I still do that.
I was a lot older than the guys, but you could see where there's a lot of individual, because this guy wants to be a corporal and he wants to be in investigations, and this guy wants to do this, and all I wanted to do was pull over DUIs. I mean, that was my thing. If you're drunk and you're driving and you got in front of me, you were going to jail. I mean, that was my thing. So I didn't care about rank structure. I didn't care about any of that. I cared about trying to, prevent a catastrophic event to a family somewhere.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Anyway, just the camaraderie is definitely different in law enforcement. I think maybe it was a lot tighter back in the day, but I don't think it's like that anymore.
And it's disappointing because you guys spend so much time working with each other. You're out there doing things that normal people don't do. You're getting shot at, you're getting called names, you're doing all kinds of things, and maybe sometimes it's sad. Maybe it's just sometimes the department or the agency. You know what I mean? Because when I saw that with Las Vegas PD, I mean, these guys were just all tight. You know what I mean? They were all like, you could tell they had a camaraderie going. And like I said, and it's sad that more departments or agencies are not like that, because when you build this camaraderie, it's a different vibe. It's a different set where, when you enter a house and you're getting shot at, and you having your team there, you just know their personality, what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. You know what I mean? And they, that, yes, they have my back, because everybody could say, "Oh, I have your back. I have your back." But when shit hits the fan, do you really have my back? You know what I mean? Do you really have my back? And I think that's one of the biggest things is a lot of people, when they, when they're going through hard times, or they're not feeling good or something, and they go, "Hey man, let me know if you need anything." That's a common phrase. Let me know if you need anything. Okay. Are you actually just saying that? Or are you saying, "Hey, what you need right now? I'll get a DoorDash to you. What you need?" You know what I mean? Like, let me call you right now. What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, no. I don't play this. Like, let me know if you need anything. It's like, what do you need right now? Like, can I do something for you right now? Do you need someone to talk to? Do you need, like, if you're not feeling good at home, what you need, bro? Like, when you need something to, DoorDash, you need some meds. I'll give you an example. About a year ago, I had a huge Super Bowl party. No, 2 years ago. I try to have Super Bowl party every year, except this year is the first time I'm having my wife and a kid are not here. But last few years ago, I had a friend of mine who had COVID. He came down with COVID 2 days before the Super Bowl party, and he's like, "Dude, I can't make it. I got COVID." And then my wife got it. I was like, "Oh, damn." I said, "It's okay, stay home." But I said, "Do me a favor, bro." I said, "You at home though, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, cool. Hold on, I'm about to drop off something." So literally the morning of the Super Bowl, we had like all the food, right, everything set up, probably 2 hours before the game. And I dropped off 2 pizzas, a stack of beer, some snacks, and just dropped it at his house, right in front of the front door. I'm like, "Check your front door, bro. Lunch is provided." He's like, "Son of a gun." And, he didn't live too far from me, but I go, I don't play that game where it's like, "Let me know if you need anything." It's like, I'm about to do this right now. You like it or not, that's fucking going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, get prepared. And even though you can't be with us, you still gonna have the same food we're having, and we're watching the same game and texting and stuff like that. But I think that's the biggest thing where it's like when you get to really know someone and you get to really know their personality and really know the genuine of their heart, and that's how you do it with camaraderie and going out instead of working, seeing how this person is in their personal life. And that's one thing. I think it's a bigger feeling that you could see that's like, I want to help this guy. I see what kind of person he is. I want to help him. And, I got to know all the station DJs here, and you could see their heart. You could see how they are. And, off hours and off time. And even with the chat, when I first started doing this, I go, I want to like text these guys. I want to, I followed you guys on Instagram immediately and all your social media stuff. But I'm like, I want to get to know these guys because it's like, I hear you, but it's like now I'm being part of this like community now. I'm being part of this. And instead of texting everybody individually, little by little, I was getting everybody's numbers and texting them individually. I'm like, so I have a chat, like I use WhatsApp for a few chats. I have a chat on WhatsApp that has over 75 veterans and military here in Houston and where I live. 75 people are on this chat, all veterans, all military. So like when I have an event or I'm like, hey guys, I'm about to, because I do this once a month, I have classes I teach. And sometimes, there's so much stuff on I do my stuff that you don't see on Instagram because it's just some stuff I share, some stuff there's no reason to. You know what I mean? Like I'm a few weeks ago, I got a call at 2 a.m. from a veteran with a gun to his head. Here in the go. Here in the Houston area. And so he goes, hey man, I need some help. And he has a gun pointed at his head. And I go, I'm right there, bro. Hold on, I'll be right there. Go into his house, talk to him, and take away the gun. And I've done this a few times where I go, let me take the gun away. It's not mine, still yours. I'm going to keep it in my safe. And once you feel like,
That's
hey,
super important to say that.
Yep. I said, it's not mine. I'm not taking it. I'm not confiscating it. I'm not taking it like a law enforcement officer. I'm just taking it to make sure you're safe. And then when I feel like, or you feel like, hey man, I'm good, I'll give it back to you. You know what I mean? But I want to make sure you survive the night and survive as long as we can to get you help. And you don't see that on Instagram. You don't see that on social media. But I do a class at least once a month. I try to do once or twice a month where I go to the Kenwood Country Club and they're so generous and let me use an event room. And I teach on helping veterans to get disability. And I'm not a CSO. I don't work for the VA, but I've learned the system. I've learned the wording. I've learned things that a lot of veterans don't know that they have or not. And so I help them file disability claims with the VA. And it's a 4-hour class. We go through every little head to toe type of mental and physical disability. And by the end of the class, they already submitted 20, 30 claims to the VA to file for disability. Now, I can't promise anything. I can't guarantee anything. I don't work for the VA. I'm not an adjudicator, but I give them the advice and wisdom and knowledge to help them. And when I'm hearing guys sending me their screenshots of their percentages going up, it just lights me up. You know what I mean? And I don't charge a penny for this class. And guys are getting back paid to thousands of dollars. And it was so funny because when the government shut down last year for 2 months, for that first few weeks, I'm like, okay, I got money in savings. And then it went on for almost a month and a half with no paycheck. I was just like, all right, let me see let me see the other savings. Let me go on some credit cards here. And it's a dangerous slope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not only that, you're going to work full time. You're going to still work full time and not get a paycheck. And you're just like, son of a gun. So a guy texted exactly. A veteran texted me that I helped him with that class back in it was like September of last year. And he texts me because it does take time. And I tell him, guys, it takes months. It's not something overnight. It takes months. And he texts me, he shows me his checking account, and he had $16,000 back paid from the VA sitting there. And I was like, fuck yes, bro. Congratulations. He had 100%. I was like, hell yeah, very good. And he goes, bro, I see what's going on. Let me throw you a couple grand. Like, you helped me get this far. You didn't charge for your class. Let me help you. I was like, no. I said, if you want to buy me dinner one of these days, that's fine. But no, because that's your money. You deserved it. You earned it. You got through hell with it. You injured your body mentally, physically for it. That's yours. And guys were kind of getting pissed off at me. They're like, let us help you. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, fuck you. He goes, you're so fucking stubborn, Jason. I'm like, I can't take money. I just can't. That's just not me. I can't. That's not my mindset. You know what I mean? And but I just, this family that we've built here. I'm sorry, I'm just like going on little different rants here and there. But this family that we built here on this station, and so I started this "What's Up" chat, and everybody, and James was like, hell yes. And I love it, man. I love it. And you're right. Sometimes I can't keep up. I'll wake up and there are like 20 messages. And I was like, oh shit, let me go back and read them. And sometimes I chime in, sometimes I don't. I let kind of people talk and have their own conversations, you know. But it's awesome because now you're building this chat where now more and more of the DJs are getting to know each other on more on a different level and a different base, and probably more than they ever have before that. And it just takes a little things like that where, hey, let's build this really quick and make it even more, like make it even more of a family than we already were. And it's awesome. I love it. I love it. So
Yeah. You were talking about the VA and the process going through that. For 20 plus years, people were like, you got to go to the VA, man. I'm telling you, you sign the line, to give your life for this country, and you've earned it and all that. And I'm like, yeah, but that's for those guys that are coming home that, they're missing limbs and they've got all the, things like that. I don't want to take away from those guys. I'm fine. Right. That was my thing. I'm fine.
yeah.
Well, I finally was convinced because after my time in the Navy, I started developing some things with my chest and different things like that. And I was like, well, you know what? I was kind of going back and forth with insurances and all those things. And then they're like, at least go in and see if you're eligible for VA medical. So I went in and I found out the eligibility, and the guy says, hey, do you have a disability rating? And I said, no, I've never really done anything. He goes, well, let me tell you a couple of things you can get right off the bat. Because of where you served. I served during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So during some of those times during that, there was the PACT Act kind of falls into that. So,
the burn pits and all that. Yep.
I ended up, burn pits, all the craziness that went over there, and people just not taking responsibility for it. And a lot of our guys come home with the damage done and die shortly afterwards.
Yep.
I was very fortunate, I guess, being on a ship, but it was still in the area. It was still in the air.
You're breathing all that. Yep.
So, I went on and I found out about the PACT Act and found out that I was eligible for some things there. And I'll tell you, after 20 years of just feeling like I didn't deserve it, I'm not that or whatever. I'm at 80% right now.
Amazing.
With different things that we have right now. And I'm getting ready to actually file my last claim for sleep apnea because of all of the sinus issues and I have like that. I'm hoping that it'll show it's a connected issue. So if it does, it does. If it doesn't, go ahead.
Do me a favor. So I'm glad you're telling me this right now. So you're at 80%. Have you filed yet? Have you filed yet on the VA?
Yeah, I've filed. I've got an intent to file, and it's due February 20th, I believe.
Okay, so do me a favor. Sometime this weekend, or even next weekend, it's up to you before the 20th. Don't file that yet because you're at 80, and they changed the policies for sleep apnea. So what I want to do with you is I want to look over your stuff, if you don't mind, and everything that I tell when I do this stuff for veterans. All that stuff is privacy. Like no one knows about it. I don't share anything, like nothing like that. And we have like that privacy agreement where I'm like, guys, I don't share anything. I don't go and like, oh, did you know that so and so has this? Because I have stuff, and I shared it with them, and I'm like, guys, we're veterans, we're military. Let's keep our stuff to ourselves, but at the same time, let me help you. You know what I mean? Even if it's to a point, and I'll share with your audience here in a minute. I don't care, but do me a favor, like before you file, get with me, FaceTime me, whatever. And I want to help you file because I want to see what you have and then file stuff more to get you to that 80% because they changed the stuff on sleep apnea. And it used to be a lot if you had a CPAP. Now it's barely anything. So I want to make sure that we add into that and get more things and more claims filed into that. So we could try to get you to the magic number of 100. And there's different ways of doing that. But I need to see what they already have and you don't have, So I have the whole book. I have the whole policy. I have all that on my desktop. And that's how I help veterans. I was like, okay, cool. They rated you for this, but they didn't have this. And we add that. And then the VA goes, shoot, you're right. And then they add that on. So I've learned not the tricks, but I've learned the stuff that the VA doesn't tell you. You know what I mean? And so let me know, like before you file, I would love to do everything I can to, it's like packaging a package more. Instead of sending one letter, you want to send 50 letters type of thing. So.
I'm not just on a CPAP machine. I'm actually on the BiPAP because it's so
Wow.
severe. And I just
Yeah.
had another sleep study done. I mean, unfortunately, they said they only got about 57% of the recording because I
Yeah.
did not sleep well that night.
Yeah.
They did a half study, so they did half the night without, and then the other half with being monitored with a machine.
Right.
And but it was still 42 times an hour.
Man.
So
Yeah. Let me know. I want to. Yeah. No. I want to help you with that. And what's crazy that you were saying, that you served, and you're like, I didn't get jacked up. I didn't do this. I was in special forces. I didn't do this. I didn't get blown up. I'm trying to save that for everybody. Congress has a budget for the VA, so that money's set and obligated already. So a lot of that money that they're thinking veterans are going to file is just sitting in an account waiting for veterans to take that money. So that money's already there. You're not taking it away from anybody. And I tell the veterans that. And I said, number two is that, and I had to learn my own lesson. I'll give you an example. With my situation, I was in an intelligence operation and things went haywire. One thing led to another. I'm in a hospital room. I can't go into detail of it because a lot of it's classified, but I'm in a hospital room and injuries on my right foot. It's almost gone. I don't even remember what happened. Well, what the doctors told me is that my body flew and hit my head twice and suffered horrible concussion. Like I have 4 bumps right here in the back, Well, the concussion, I noticed after I got to the hospital and all the surgeries, and I had headaches, I felt dizzy, but then they kind of went away. I was like, okay, cool. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I'm good. But then I noticed years later, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? I'm getting dizzy. Um, getting like little emotions. Like I'll watch like something on TV, like Top Gun, for example. And then all of a sudden just the plane's doing this. I go, I can't look at it. Like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like I can't look at it. And now having a daughter, she wants to go on carousel rides. She's getting older. And she's like, Daddy, you want to go on a carousel? I was like, okay, yeah. And I sit on the carousel and I go, nope, nope, nope. I need to get off. I need to get off. I need to get off. Because it felt like that carousel was going 100 miles an hour. And I jumped off, literally jumped off the carousel. My wife's there, jumped off. And I'm learning now, I'm going, okay, something's off. Something's wrong. Something's going on more than I thought. You know what I mean? I'm getting headaches too much. So I go to the VA. This was about 3 years ago. I go to the VA and I go, something's not right. Something's going on. And so they did a CT scan, an MRI of my brain, and they go, you're absolutely right. So what they found is proteins, small proteins, eating away slowly at my brain. And what happens is this is called the beginning stages of CTE. Now, CTE is caused by concussions. It's what football players, MMA fighters, boxers get. But what's crazy is that you don't notice it till years later. Those conditions come on years later down the road, not immediate. So like all these like hardcore MMA fighters now, and I love UFC, like I love it, but you see all the shots they're getting to their head, they're not feeling it then and there. They're going to feel that 5, 10 years later down the road because it takes time for your brain to go, wait a minute, we've been suffering a damage here, and pretty soon it's just going to start dying. And there's no cure for CTE, none. So the VA told me straight up, and they said, listen, we're going to do every 6 months CT scan of your brain to see how in a way it's like cancer, but it's not cancer. You know what I mean? It's like they know it's going to grow, it's going to get bigger, but it takes time. It's not as fast as cancer, but there's no cure. There's none. And so, and all the symptoms, memory loss, concentration, headaches, dizziness, all that. But it's crazy is that they can't diagnose you with CTE. They could say CTE like symptoms because CTE is diagnosed after you're dead when they do a diagnosis of your brain. And for a good movie to watch on this is a movie called Concussion with Will Smith. And that's what the doctor told me. They go home. Yep. They go home, watch the movie Concussion with Will Smith. Great movie on this because Will Smith's character discovers CTE. And the NFL was like, no. But you have these football players that are just going crazy because they're seeing something's wrong. They know something's wrong, but they don't know what's wrong. And that's sad to say, but a lot of them kill themselves. And CTE causes suicide because what it is you're going crazy. You're like, I can't, what is going on? And there's times where it sucks is that like, I'm thinking of like a good friend's name. even for you the other day, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. I was talking to social yesterday, Kevin, and we were talking about you. I was like, yeah, I got. He goes, are you doing any podcasting? I'm like, yeah, I got one for. Oh, it's Billy. And I'm like, it's like normally I would be like, but it's like I had to remember your name, and it sucks. It sucks because it's like you could feel it. You could start seeing these symptoms coming, and even multitasking now. Like whatever I'm doing, I have to just do it. Just that. I can't do 30 different things at once anymore. I've learned this. I've seen this. And it's like I've had to let my bosses know, and hence the reason why. And obviously they see it too, and that's the reason why they go, hey, have you ever thought about medically retiring? And I thought medical retirement was like for, you're about to die, you got a few months left. And we had a SRT SWAT guy 2 years ago, had stage 4, and he's literally, on his deathbed, and they medically retired him quick so that his wife gets the benefits. And then after all the paperwork went through, probably another month, he passed. But it was a very honorable funeral I went to. They put the casket on the SRT truck, the SWAT team truck, and it was a very, very moving funeral. But you know, it was. I was thinking that's what it's for, and they go, no. They go, as long as you can't do at least 10% of your job, you have all obviously the medical documentation proving it. Yeah, you could medically retire. And I went home that night, and I go, and obviously I'm seeing that it's affecting my job, and I'm not getting in trouble for it, but I could see that they're kind of questioning, like, what's going on? Are you okay? And you're talking about a year ago that I was doing this, and I'm going, yeah, and I'm trying to type reports, and I got 3 computer screens at my desk, and I'm moving Excel spreadsheets around, and like I notice I'm getting dizzy. Like I'm just like, what the hell? Like even like trying to move things, like looking at one screen like this, and I'm like, I'm like, fuck. And then being out in the field, there was one time where I literally blacked out and just passed out. And EMS had to get called, and I had a gun in my hand. So that you start going, and I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest call you have to make on yourself. And it's a hard call to know when you're done, because you've served this and you've done this for so many years, and you still got, I'm 42. Normal age of retirement, agents retire as, 50s, 60s, and even now with the Trump initiative, man, these guys are coming back from retirement. I mean, I got a 7-year-old guy at my office with a gun. I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, it is what it is. He kind of fallen asleep at his desk the other day, but it's all good. But
you got to get him one of those medication things so he doesn't miss his pills every day.
I'm telling you, man, it's like I get they're hiring more people. They want people back to fulfill the Trump initiative, but it's like, fuck, like there's a limit there. But I think that's the biggest thing where I
heard a comedian one time, and he was getting older. He talked about getting older, and he was 49 years old. He was almost 50, and he talked about going to the optometrist. And he said when he left, he had up here on the top of his glasses was where he could see way far away, and in the middle was where he could see things 5-10 feet or whatever. And he said, and on the bottom he had that there so he could read his medication.
You're getting me scared, man, because last time I went to optometrist last year to get contacts, the guy goes, in the next 2 years, you might need bifocals. I'm like, no, fuck, no, damn it. Like, it's just like, it sucks. It does, and it's, I work out, you work out, we both try to stay in shape, and, we run, we work out and everything like that. I'm a big advocate for working out, but when you're feeling it, and I got 2 surgeries this year. I got one on April 6th, fixing tendons in my right foot. I'm going to be in a hard cast for like a month. I got right knee replacement surgery right after that. And it's like, I think every person, has to realize, as much as I want to keep going, I could do it. Like, I know I can, there's a point where you're going, okay, you're now risking not just your life when you go on in the field, knowing that you are medically, physically, not there anymore like you used to be. You know what I mean? But now you're risking your other lives of other officers, being out there with you.
Well, that's something that you don't know. That's something you don't know about me is that I started my law enforcement career at 47 years old.
Holy shit. I did not know that. Damn. Damn.
Yeah, I'll be 57 in April.
Oh my goodness, man. That's crazy. You look young, bro. I didn't think that you were that old. You
Yeah.
look young, brother. You really do. You keep it up.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah.
So my
But
whole thing
damn.
when I went through the academy was to make sure everybody, and it wasn't about, hey, look at me, look what I can do kind of thing. My
Yep.
thing
Yep.
was, my biggest fear was that they were going to be like, oh, geez, here comes Gramps. He's going to, we're worried about
Right.
him kind of thing.
Right.
So I tried to do everything that I could to make sure that these guys knew that if crap was going down, that the old guy, the preacher, whatever,
Mhm.
granddad, he was going to be in the fight with them, and that they knew I had their back. So
Yep.
I worked so hard prior to the academy and during the academy. I was the only one in my class that got the fitness award.
That's awesome, bro. And that shows the young guys something where it's like, well, dude, it's crazy you said that because we're hiring so many people, right? And I'm the one who gives out property and gear and weapons and things like that. It blows my mind how many people are failing the physical fitness test.
Yeah, it's
Literally
disgusting.
out of 20 guys, young guys, that did their physical fitness test on Saturday, 1.5 mile run, push-ups, sit-ups, have fit only 2 passed. And I'm like, what the heck? What the like it just
I could probably still pass it today. Seriously.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, I'll give you an example. This is our physical fitness test. You ready? This is ours. And I'll tell you if you could pass. I'm sure you could. 1.5 mile run in 14 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay.
I could walk it in that pace.
Exactly. What is it? 20 you have to do 20 push-ups in a minute. And I think 32 sit-ups in a minute. And they're failing it. And I'm watching these guys in the gym.
Do you remember during boot camp, in order to get an excellent on your PT, because I did 2 years Army National Guard before I went in the Navy.
Sweet, nice.
So in order to max your PT test, you had 2 minutes to do as many push-ups as you could do. If you reached, I think it was 80 or 85, then you would get a max on your PT. A buddy of mine and I, we were in competition with each other. I did 97. He did 105.
Shit.
Yeah. I was like, this is ridiculous. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, we just had fun with it, you know?
You had fun. And little people know this. I'm going to tell you.
I can't do 97 anymore. I know that.
So I'm going to tell you a little secret right now. No one else knows this. And I don't want to say anything yet until I see it on paper. Obviously, you know how that is. And I'm still kind of waiting. It takes time. So that's why I haven't really said anything to anybody. I put in for the Guinness Book of World Records for push-ups. And there's so many different ones for push-ups, diamond, backpack, all this stuff. So I put in a video, already submitted everything, for the push-ups with a 100-pound backpack on you. And I got to 92 push-ups in a minute with a 100-pound backpack on me. And the record right now is 85, and it's like from an Arab guy, in Iraq. And obviously I want to bring that home back to the United States. And I practiced this for months because obviously you want to make sure you do more. So if the Guinness World people look at it and they go, no, that doesn't count, you have more to keep going. And so that video is submitted in summer of last year. They said it usually takes a year because there's so many submissions. And so I'm just waiting. And who knows? I don't know. That's why I haven't said anything because I'm just kind of, seeing if it happens. But I'm excited. That'd be badass if I hang up a Guinness World Record book, certificate of the most push-ups. So that's why
I knew when I started this podcast, I knew when I said Superman that I wasn't joking. I knew.
And I think that's what I was like, this right here. I think that's what angers me, man, is that I see young guys younger than me with no disabilities that I have. And they can't even do 10 push-ups. And I'm like, I'm watching them in the gym and I go, like, and it's like, why are you now just starting to work out when you're about to go hit academy class? Like, this is not the time to start working out.
Yeah.
You should start working out all the time. But these guys are now like, oh shit, I
Mm-hmm.
have to go to the academy next week. Let me start working out that I've never done in my entire life. And a lot of these guys are not veterans and not military. And I'm going, and I remember the training officer looked at me. I was in the gym because these guys train in the gym sometimes. And I'm at the gym, I'm working out on my lunch break. And the training officer is like, I see like I walk in, there's like 5 guys trying to do push-ups. And the training officer is just down there looking at them, yelling and motivating them. And I look at him and he's just like, and I go, and I'm just like, I'll buy you a drink after this, man. Like, he's just like, how? Like, I don't get it. Like, and they're very strict on this. Like, they'll give you 2 chances to pass PT test. And if you don't pass it the second time, you're done. You're done. And even when you're at the academy, you pass it the first week, and then before graduation, I think a month before graduation, you don't pass it again, you're done. And it's like you're going into a law enforcement job, and you are not physically fit in shape. And it cracks me up because I go, if I was a bad guy, if I was a criminal, and I saw Officer Billy over here trying to arrest me, he pulls me over for a traffic stop for DUI, which thank God, there's so many ride sharing services that should never ever be a issue anymore. You know what I mean? But like, even if I went to sing, if I go to see you in Florida and we're singing karaoke and I'm drinking, man, I'm gonna have a Lyft or Uber taking me back to my hotel because I'm not dumb. I know, like, yeah, I'm probably gonna drink a little too much, but it blows my mind though is that if you pull me over and I've had too much to drink, you see me swerving on the road, and you tell me to get out of the car, the first thing I'm gonna do as a criminal, because in my head I'm already drinking and driving, so I don't give a crap anymore. I'm already on the wrong side of the law. I'm gonna look you up and down, and I'll be like, let me see if I could take this guy. Let me see if I could really take him. But if I'm looking at you up and down and I see you're a big dude and you're holding yourself in police stance, and like, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go to jail. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. Is I've interviewed a lot of criminals, and with that, especially the ones that fought against police, and I go, why did you fight back? And he goes, oh, I knew I could take them, and they can, and they do. And I'm
Yeah.
going, what the heck, man? If you're in law enforcement and you're not in shape, get ready. You're going to get in a lot of fights because the criminals out there, they're already looking at you down. They're looking you up and down, going, I could take him. I could take his gun. And I tell other
Yeah.
people during podcasts, I'm like, if I'm a criminal and I'm going to try to take your gun, I'm not going to take your gun and walk away with it. I'm going to take your gun, throw a couple of slugs in you, and then run away. You know what I mean? That's not my point, to take your gun and just run away with it. I'm going to finish you off, and this
Mm-hmm.
happens a lot, and then leave. And it's like, but if you're
Yeah.
fighting me back and I could take you down, and I'm looking at you going, no, bro, don't mess with me. You know what I mean? There was a situation just a few months ago. I'm driving here in Texas, man. It's insane. Like, there's so many car accidents because people have the biggest road rage. It's insane. Like, people are always honking. It's horrible. That's why car insurance rates are so high here. And one guy, and I didn't mean to do this. It wasn't purposely. And I was trying to move lanes, and I didn't see him. And he was like, he was in my dead spot. And so he comes out by in front of me and honks at me. And I respect him, like, hey man, I'm sorry, like that was my fault. I didn't see you in my blind spot. I'm trying to, like, hey, that's my bad. Like, I'm not trying to flip you off or honk at you back or cuss at you. Then he gets in front of me, and he just stops at a red light. He gets out of his car. And now here in Texas, man, it's crazy because people just throw rounds. It's insane, like, for just road rage shit. It will blow your mind how many people died from that. It's crazy. So I see him get out of his car, and I have my gun on me, and I'm like, oh God, God, God. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, praying really quick. I'm like, I don't want to do whatever he's trying to do. So I get out of my car. I kind of like show my hands, like, hey man, what's up? Trying to be friendly, not trying to come out like anger. You know what I mean? He comes out of his car like, what the fuck, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Well, right when I come out of my car, I'm like, hey, dude, what's up, man? I'm so sorry. Like, I apologize. He looked at me, and I could see him. He's staring me up and down. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, man, all right, all right. And he goes back in his car because he knew I could take you. I could take you. He was a little smart guy. I
Yeah.
was like, I could take you. And not only that, but my demeanor was not like, I want to start a fight with you. It was like, hey, bro, I'm so sorry, boss. You know what I mean? Like, that was my fault. You know what I mean? And then, but I could tell, though, he could have kept going, but he knew that it's not worth it. You know what I mean? And he went and drove his way.
It was
But your
work.
physical presence is huge. Is huge when it comes to everything, man. I was like, I used to be a bouncer in a club, and guys would try to challenge me, and it's like, no, don't challenge me, and it just pisses me off that these guys are
There's
not
something
realizing
to
it.
be said about there's something to be said about that. Not only your stature or your posture, but also your uniform. If you walk up to the side of a vehicle and you've got your shirts all wrinkled and you just look sloppy,
Mhm.
okay,
Yep.
there's not a lot of respect for that. That's why in here in South Carolina, if one of the county guys walk up, they've got the outer carrier, they got all their stuff kind of hanging all over the place or whatever, and they got, whatever. I mean, you could tighten it up, make it look pretty good. I tried to do that. But when a state trooper pulls you over and they walk up there with that hat sitting like this,
Dude.
let me tell you something. There's nothing but respect that comes for these guys.
Yep.
But we had an incident a couple of years ago. One of the state troopers was shot and killed. He was just an incredible dude. Just so incredible. The work he did extra for the community and stuff was amazing. Well, somebody had robbed a store or something and he got him for speeding. He didn't realize he was a suspect. So when he got up there, he didn't even get a chance to talk to him. He walked up there and within moments he was shot and killed and left behind. They interviewed the driver after they caught him. They interviewed him and they realized that he had been stopped 10 minutes before that by another, he was stopped 10 minutes before that by another officer. And he said, well, why didn't you go after him or anything? And he goes, he was tight. When he got up to the car, I think he would have bounced the bullets back at me or something like that.
Oh,
I don't know.
damn.
Not saying that the other officer was sloppy, but
Right.
I'm just saying he looked at demeanor, he looked at the posture. He just looked like, okay, this guy's squared away. I'm not going to mess with him. So,
Yep.
and it psychologically, it does play a part. So
It does. It's a huge part, and I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, and I get they're hiring everybody and anybody right now for, all this immigration stuff, but
so dangerous. So dangerous.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
I know it's a whole topic that we could do another podcast on.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you. So
yeah, but what I do want to do, I do want to talk. You talked a little bit about your store and some of the things that you're doing, but I want to know how. I want to have my listeners find out better things that you are doing in the future, things that you're working towards. You said that. I mean, I don't know if you're ready to step away from all this or not, but if you're leaving pretty soon, you're going to be doing some of this stuff full time. So people are going to want to get a hold of you. And so how do people get a hold of you, and how do, how do you make this thing continue, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm kind of lost. Lost a word here for a minute.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And it's funny because obviously a lot of the coworkers I work with, they know that, I'll be leaving here soon, in the next few months, whenever the paperwork gets completed. It's already in the process and almost done. But a lot of guys were coming up to me like, man, some of them here, they know what I do personally. Some of them don't. They don't know the extent of what I do in my personal life. Some of them do. They know the radio station, obviously. They know the clothing store, but all the other stuff, it's not something where I go and brag about and, oh, look what I've done, nothing like that. They love the radio station. All of them listen to the radio station. But they, someone came up to me like, dude, you're 42. Like, you're about to medically retire. Like, that means you'll be having 3 incomes coming in. You don't have to work anymore if you don't want to. What are you going to do with all your time? You're going to be bored. And it's so funny because I look at them, I'm like, bored? Like, yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. Because this now, serving veterans and serving first responders and helping more charities and doing everything that you're doing and like helping, making merchandise for your charity. Your charity is amazing, by the way. And blasting these charities to people that don't, oh, you kidding me, man? And getting your charity bigger is my goal. You can't go to the grave with money. And I don't know when's my last day here on this earth. I'm hoping I have a long one, but with my condition, There's no guarantee, you know, but my goal is to make sure I help as many people as I can before God takes me.
That's awesome. So tell us about Alpha Ready Co. and emails, phone numbers, different things like that, where we can get a hold of you.
Go on alphareadyco.com. That's alphareadyco.com. Check out the merchandise, check out the charities, check out all the great collections that I have on there. You want to follow me on Instagram, go on Operation Alpha Ready. That's my radio station Instagram. That's at Operation Alpha Ready. Or if you want to go to the store Instagram, that's at Alpha Ready Co. On Instagram. Follow me, check us out. I'm always doing stuff. I'm always posting. I'm always interacting with the listeners. I'm always interacting with the customers and these great charities. So whatever I could do to help these amazing charities out, please let me know.
Also, I want to just add real quick, he doesn't have an off switch. We'd already talked about that. There's no off switch on this guy. I don't know when he sleeps. I don't know when he does anything other than what he's doing. He's obviously got a major passion for what he's doing. I love it because what an incredible guy to just have on my side. I mean, when it comes to this, I mean, I'm so grateful that I got to meet you through the radio station. And make sure you tune into the Thin Line Rock station and listen to Jason Andrews, man. I'm telling you, he will get on a rant and it'll take him 30 minutes to get off it. But let me tell you, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's all good stuff.
To the point where the station manager's like, whoa, bro, you got to cut it back. We have to delete some stuff.
Yeah. Can we do 5-minute intervals maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So,
well,
but I appreciate you having me on here, man.
You're definitely, absolutely. I'm definitely going to bring you back here. We might be having you back on another couple of weeks or something, because
that'd be great.
There's so much more. There's so many more questions I want to ask you for sure.
But no, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
See you soon, man.